First, I was talking about last week, I'm really proud of our team. That was a team win. We had a lot of guys that stepped up in spots. You have 3 starters out on offense going into the game. Then you lose your quarterback on the 4th play of the game. So, obviously Zion and Harvey and James Ohamba, who's an older guy, but stepped in there, and those 3 guys played extremely well. But it's everybody stepped their game up, and that's what you need to happen. We talk as a team about needing each other and understanding that we help each other go right there. Our defense, that performance was, so proud of them. I mean, this game we talk about all the time, how it's so fickle and up and down. I mean, all of a sudden our defense can't play. They can't stop anybody after a bad game, and they came back and just went to work. So really proud of them. I thought special teams was much improved, was really pleased with that. Offensively, we did some things well, 7.3 yards a carry. We were 4 or 5 scoring in the red zone, which is something that we've worked really hard on. Obviously, the fumble down there is something that we got to get fixed. On defense, they were 10 of 13 on 3rd downs. That's huge. Gets you off the field. 2 sudden change stops. And we were really disruptive. I mean, 2 interceptions, 7 sacks against a team that didn't turn it over. Special teams, kind of touched on that. I mean, we played extremely hard. Our field goal unit, sounds like a small thing, but, all year these guys were getting knocked back in pressure. Those guys protected really good. You got to fix, right? Glaring things, 3 turnovers, all right? And I don't care if it's the 1s or 2s. 3 turnovers are unacceptable. We got to control the ball and finish the game. 10 negative plays on offense, and that's drops, that's a bad snap, that's penalties. Those are things that we gotta stop doing. We're playing really efficiently. Like our efficiency percentage is really way above what we want, but it could be great if we eliminate some of these things. Defensively, had a couple substitution issues. Obviously, the 4th quarter finish wasn't what we want. And on special teams, I think we still got to work a little bit on some of our lane integrity on kickoff, and we got the effort was totally different, but we got to work a little bit on that. Overall, the penalties are things that are just, it's eating me alive, because these are controllable things. They're not action penalties. It's pre-snap, and it's things that we can fix and we need to fix. And the turnovers, you can't keep turning the ball over and win football games. Interceptions happen when you throw it, and we want to throw it. You're going to have a tip ball. You're going to have some of those things that happen, but we got to protect the football, and we got to, continue, all right, to work on the techniques that it takes to protect the ball, and you got to finish the game. We want to play young players every chance we get, and we'll continue to do that. They practice every week, and talk to the team about that. Those guys, they need to go, and they need to go play better and represent us better than the way we finished right there. So, that was a little bit frustrating at the end, the way that we finished. We've addressed that with them. We expect those guys to go out there and go play and go operate cleanly, and that certainly wasn't it. So, a lot of good stuff in there, but there are certainly plenty of things for us to continue to go back to work on. And, we responded well, handled a loss the right way, learned from it, went back to work and got better. Now, as a team, maturity-wise, can we continue to mature and be mature enough to handle success? Obviously you want to have a lot of that, but you have to be able to handle it and go back to work. And we talked about it last week, and that was the message to our team. It doesn't matter if you win or you lose, right? Sunday you feel great after you win, you feel terrible after you lose. The work the next week's still the work, and it's irrelevant. If you want to win the next one, then there are certain things that you have to do. And so this week we got to have the discipline to go back and work with the same hunger, with the same drive, with the same intent that we did last week. And, if we do that, we can continue to get better, and I think we can continue to find ways to win games. And, that's the name of it, right? That's what you're trying to do every week, is do your best to work from Sunday to Saturday to find a way to win. You mentioned penalties, and y'all were ultra aggressive in that game, and it paid off. But what about the fine line of 1st and 31 as you get that back? What's the fine line for you as a coach to, you want to be aggressive, you don't want to get bullied, but you don't want to go too far in that direction? I'm never going to stop being aggressive in what we do. That's when our kids play the best. So, offensively, right? We have a couple of plays in a row. We take some shots down the field, and then you end up getting down there to score. Defensively, yeah, it's 1st and 31, whatever it was, but you're there for a reason, because you're playing aggressive and you're doing things. The late hit, I'm as hard on these guys as anything about some of those things. I thought it was close, you got to be smart when you're in that situation. And, we talk about it, if it's close, you got to pull off, you got to get out the way. I didn't think that one was egregious. I get they called it. I wouldn't argue the call. If it was on our sideline, we'd probably want the same call. It's offensively, a lot of it, you have two different quarterbacks, right? And so we tried to play against those guys in a lot of tempo because we felt like it gave them trouble, and it did. Ben is a little more deliberate, I guess I would say, in the tempo and kind of, and Zion is he's on it. He's full go. So some of it was kind of center quarterback communication. The center's still trying to ID it, and we're snapping it a little bit quick. So some of those things are fixable, and I can understand a couple of them, but just a number, of pre-snap penalties and things like that are, it's just we work too hard to be a disciplined football team to have some of that.
Any update on Ben?
Yeah, he's not going to require surgery. His foot, he will be out for a significant amount of time, the foreseeable future for sure. So, we're going to support him, and we're going to do everything we can. I think one thing we've all learned about him is his resolve and his, determination to get back. So this is something they feel like, by the end of the year, kind of hopefully 4-6 weeks, maybe, something like that, he'll be able to get himself in position to come back. But it's, it just, a lot of variables in there.
Coach, what does this win say about the togetherness and the chemistry of your team? Over a 2-hour delay, you lose your quarterback in the first quarter and just come out and have as dominating of a performance, especially offensively, that you guys have.
Well, the thing I've talked about with this team a lot from the beginning, right? I've told you guys since the spring that I'm excited about this team. I feel like we have a chance to have a really good team. Maturity is going to be something, right? Like with that many young players and things like that. So we handled that game with a lot of maturity, right? We handled the rain delay, which was frustrating because we get the ball in the red zone and we're, kind of on go right there. And then, you get the 2-hour rain delay, whatever it was. Defensively, you have offense, on defense, you look at the offense and, okay, the quarterback's out and, we go 3 and out or 4 and out, and then we drive and we don't get anything. We punt it. They just kind of picked it up and played at another level. So it says that we were really mature and handled it well in that game. The thing that I've talked about over and over again is you are what you do consistently, right? And we talk about a culture of consistency. So that's a step in the right direction. But until you do it consistently over and over again, then, that was a one-time thing. So for us, that's, you can pat yourself on the back and you say, man, we got this thing figured out. Or you can say, all right, well, that was good. Let's build off of that. And that's what we're going to do.
Well, speaking of maturity, you got freshmen coming in. You didn't have to change any of the playbook. Just talk to me about his growth that you've seen and when you step in like that.
Well, we did change some of the playbook, but we did things that fit him. He and Ben are two very different players. They're both great players, and they're both very effective in what they do. But as a coach, your job is to make sure you do things that fit their skill set. So we did, and we did some things that he's really good at and really effective at, things that maybe, aren't in Ben's wheelhouse and vice versa. So, that's what you do. But Zion's a quarterback, and I don't want any of that. Hopefully everybody can see that after the way he threw it. He's a quarterback. He's not just a guy back there that's a wildcat runner. We did it. We planned on playing him a little bit in that role just because he's so unique. But the guy's a quarterback, and we're going to let him. We're going to let him throw it. We're going to let him take shots down the field and operate the offense. And a lot of the normal stuff is just in the run game. You can do some things that are a little bit different. But Zion is. I said this, a long time ago, and you always hate to pigeonhole a kid and put, especially someone who's been such a great player here, but he's reminded me of Levi so much from the time that he got here with his maturity and even his demeanor. He's really witty and smart, but he's quiet. He's kind of to himself a little reserved. But he's always kind of had that same feel. I remember from the time Levi got here, you're like, how old is this guy? He's like, there's no play with him. He's all business and he's serious. And Zion has been like that since he got here. So nobody on our team was surprised that he went out and played really well. We saw it all spring. That's, no one was shocked. Our players, they knew he was going to play really good. He knew he was going to play well, and so did we. So, you can go on and on about him because I think he's worked really hard to get himself ready to play when his number was called, and he did a great job for us.
Outside of the NFL, is Buffalo the biggest team you've seen?
Yeah, they're huge. I mean, you know, the two things with them, I mean, they're massive, and they're really, really veteran. On defense, 10 out of 11 of their starters are either seniors or grad students. On offense, 8 out of the 11 are either seniors or grad students. So, yeah, I mean, that's the two things that kind of jump out at you right away. Like, it's a little different. You know, we're not that big, obviously, and we're youthful. You know, they're huge and they're a little bit older and more veteran. So it's kind of like a contrast a little bit.
What's your expectation on Rob and Dre and George this weekend?
We're expecting all three to be back. George is probably the one that's probably still questionable right now. You know, depends on how he handles the protocol coming up. But the other two, you know, they were out there last night. Last night was pretty light, you know, walk through. But they're expected to be full go this week.
So what our right tackle look? You George back or not back, or how do you? Did James kind of enter that picture, or how does the right tackle situation look?
So unfortunately, Jax is going to be out this week from an injury last week. It looks like it'll be 1 to 2 weeks. It's not going to be a long-term thing, but he'll be out this week. So, you know, if you get George back, you know, you got James that can play right tackle. Quentin played right tackle. Quentin didn't play great. It's his first game back. You know, I mean, he's going to get better. The guy works his tail off. So you got James and Q that can play at right tackle. George has flexibility. He can play at guard. So him and Caden can both move inside and play guard. So it just gives you some more pieces. But James played great. James played great. Our offensive line, that was the best that our offensive line has played, you know, certainly in the last 2 years. But, you know, I'm trying to think of a better performance. I mean, you know, that was as good as we've played in a long time up front. And I was proud of them because they had it on their minds they're going to come out there and play a certain type of way.
Got time for a couple more?
We were talking about the defense yesterday a little bit with Guidry kind of joking around about the no-name defense. You were saying how well they play after lightning delays. What do you think about the lightning delay defense?
I guess whatever it takes. I just hope that doesn't mean if we don't have a lightning delay, we got a problem. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, I was really proud of that unit, man. I mean, you know, y'all know how it is. I mean, y'all know what everybody says. It's all of a sudden, you know, the defense has lost it, and they've never lost their confidence. So that's a big deal.
Kind of a joking question here, but do you and Mother Nature have a little bit of a problem? I mean, that's 3 games now that have been delayed.
Somebody ain't living right. I don't know I hope it's not me. I'm trying to do right. I hope it's not me, but somebody ain't living right. So we got to figure it out, you know. But it's just, you know, y'all know, it's just this time of year. You know, we play at home, right? In September, it rains every day in a normal year. You know, you go play on the coast in Virginia. Sounds like they got the same type of issues, you know. And then, you know, the thing in Birmingham, I think it was the only place in the state it was raining was in Birmingham. So I don't know. Somebody's not living right. We gotta figure that out. We got to get Eric to pray for us a little bit more, maybe.
You mentioned the fumbles. We talked about Kyron last week. Like, he's young, so you don't want it to be like a putter, like me choking, or a free throw shooter mental. Like, yeah. So how do you avoid that?
Well, you know, you try to get them back in the game, number one, when you can. But, you know, especially when you play running back, you know, ball security is job security. And we have too many good backs where, you know, we got to get it fixed. It's the same technical issue. You know, it's when he gets in traffic, it was really he hit the back of one of our linemen on a jump cut. The ball drops and his wrist drops below his elbow, which is a day one thing that you talk about. So, you know, we're going to track his ball security every rep this week. And, you know, with all the running backs, because Bill did the same thing on his fumble. It's inexcusable. You know, I mean, you don't have fumbling problems. You have technical problems that lead to fumbles. And it's the same problem. It's the elbow drops every time we make a cut going to our left in particular. So we're going to track it. And the guys that don't protect the ball, they'll be further down the line. You know, I mean, especially you get Draylon back and you get these guys back. We're fortunate to have a running back room where, you know, he's going to get more opportunities. I mean, the guy is a special, unique kid. And we're not trying to, you know, put pressure on him like you're talking about. He needs to go do it right all week, and then when he gets back in the game, go continue to handle it the right way, and it'll be fine, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, as a coach and as a coaching staff, you know, you can't give possessions away. I mean, hell, we gave points away. I mean, we're on the 5-yard line going in when we're moving the ball at will, and you give one up. So, you know, we got to get it fixed. We as coaches have to coach it, harp on it even harder. And he's got to, as a player, he's got to take ownership and say, all right, well, I'm going to do it better, and I'm going to make it count every day in practice, every rep I get. And the dude practices really hard. So he's going to come back this week, and he'll get it right, and we'll be in good shape.
Clarity in development. How much how clear does a game make that to you as a coach, and the version that you saw of Z on Saturday night? How much development has happened from the independent fold?
Zion can run the whole offense, you know, and that's the thing about him. Like I keep saying it, you know, I know everybody gets excited when you have a quarterback that can run. He is not a runner, you know, he is a quarterback. And first and foremost, that's what he is, and we're going to let him operate that way. It's, you know, you go in a quarterback room like we have, all right, Nas talked about it. Now I guess I'm going to go off a little bit on another deal here. You have 3 guys that I believe could win a conference championship for us. I believe you had 3 guys that are good enough to do that, okay? So you're in a good situation. You pick the best out of the 3 for you right now. And Ben was the best one for us coming out of it. You have full confidence in the other 2. All right. The first couple of weeks, Chandler and Zion were back and forth. Well, who was going to be the backup? All right. Northwestern State, Chandler gets in the game because he had a better week of practice. Last 2 weeks, it was Z. So Ben gets hurt. Zion goes in, and he plays the way he does. On Zion's 80-yard touchdown run, you know the first person running on the sideline was? Chandler Fields. All right. So that's the kind of team that we have. That's the kind of kids that we have. And they work their asses off every single day. And Zion, that's all he's done. You know how hard that is? You take every rep in the spring. You go to fall camp, and then you're rotating with the 1s, 2s, and 3s. You're on the 3s field. You know, that's hard mentally. And everyone struggles with that. And we told him, like, look, man, like, you just got to compete through it. Like, you've never had to do that here before. And he did. Like, every day he'd go down there. He would take his reps on whatever field he was on. He made them count. And then he prepared himself for this opportunity. You know, we say it all the time. If you wait for the opportunity to prepare, then it's too late. And someone else will take your opportunity. And so it just speaks to, you know, I keep going back to maturity, like to be able to get through all that stuff. I mean, the guy took every rep in the spring and played great all spring. You know, coming out of spring, in my mind, I was like, well, this guy's probably going to be the starting quarterback. I didn't say that to any of y'all, of course. All right. But it's like, this guy's probably going to be the starting quarterback. And then you get in the summer, and Ben and Chandler start playing their tails off. And then you're like, oh, my goodness, well, this is a whole nother deal here. And you get in a fall camp, and it's more of the same. So, you know, that's not easy to handle, you know, and we try to do it. You know, there's like a human element to all of this, you know. You're so torn because you got a young guy that played great, that busted his butt to go out there and go play great. And then you're looking at your 6-year senior on the ground about in tears because, you know, he gets another tough break. You know, it's just – you have a great group of kids that step up and play for each other, but there's so many things, you know, that you emotions and just thoughts that you go through, because I am so happy for Zion, because golly, man, I mean, to step in that moment and play that well for his team, right? Not for him, for his team to go win. And then, you know, you turn around and you look at Ben, who's been through, I mean, hell and back, and, you know, and he's, you know, back on that roller coaster. So, you know, I mean, it's a maturity thing to be able to handle it. And, you know, Zion and Ben and Chandler, I mean, those guys, they pull for each other. They work hard for each other. You know, and Zion's going to do his job for us, and Chandler will be ready to go, and Ben's going to bust his butt to get back at some point this year. And, you know, it's a long season, so you see how all this stuff plays out.